What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of 410 Sports Talk. James Haskell, Glenn Martin, and DK here to talk about, as you see the title, as you all know, Roquan Smith's huge deal with the Baltimore Ravens. Really happy to talk about that, break down what the deal is, what it means for him, what it means for the Ravens moving forward. But first of all, Glenn, shout out to Roquan Smith, right?
Yeah. I mean, happy for the guy. Seems like a real favorite on the team amongst his teammates, obviously amongst the fan base. Love to see a player like him. I mean, if you could have pointed to a guy on another team that really just screened plays like a Raven without actually playing like a Raven, it was Roquan. We talked about him many times on this show before he became a Raven. So happy they went out and got the guy. And boy, you talk about being as advertised. I mean, this guy has been like so much more than they could have even hoped. And they obviously what they knew they were getting was an all-pro linebacker, but he's so much more than that when you consider what he brings energy-wise, what he brings leadership-wise. I mean, this guy just loves to play ball. So happy for him. The highest paid linebacker in NFL history, Jimbo.
And you know what? I think at this point, it's fair to say worth every dollar. So let's talk about the details of this deal. I think DK's got a graphic here to kind of break it down for us. So Roquan agrees in principle with the Baltimore Ravens, of course, on a 5-year, $100 million deal, making him the highest paid linebacker in history. Oh, DK had a banner up there, I think, right? No, we're waiting on it. But I think what it is $45 million in guaranteed dollars and $60 million in total guaranteed dollars. And what we learned is that the difference is the $60 million would be in an injury situation, 45 getting that money no matter what the scenario may be. So either way, man, I think at the end of the day, anytime you sign a bigger contract than, if I'm not mistaken, this is a bigger deal than Ronnie Stanley's deal. This is a bigger deal than Marlon Humphrey deals. Now,
is it really?
Yeah, their deals were years plural ago at this point, but I think they were both in like the 97 range. But either way, you're getting paid more than a left tackle and a premier corner as an inside linebacker. You're doing something right. And I think Roquan Smith absolutely deserved this deal. Like you said, Glenn, so the reverberation of his impact on the entire team, not even just the linebacker core, the entire defense has just been incredible. And look, he's been putting up the stats himself. One of the things that I'll point out, Glenn, I know we're going to go over some stats, pretty cool stat, if I'm not mistaken. I think I heard this today. I think 4 of his tackles were drive ending tackles last week in the game out of the 11 tackles, which look, he's not just getting tackles in junk time and, on first down. I mean, we're talking big, high leverage plays, high leverage moments. He's making big plays. But there's another stat that I think is really awesome, Glenn, that I think you have that is also worth sharing. Just speaks to how good this guy's been playing.
Yeah, you mean the similarity of another Ravens linebacker? So he became only the second linebacker in history to have 100+ tackles. Was it 2+ sacks and at least 1 interception in each of their first 5 seasons? And the other one to do it was, of course, Ray Lewis.
Crazy. So anytime you share you're on a list with Ray Lewis and you two are the only ones.
That's some good company, because the thing that made Ray Lewis so special, I mean, a lot of things made him so special, but the thing that was so remarkable is how he can impact the game in so many different ways. He was a great blitzer. He could intercept the quarterback and was great in coverage. And then we all know his ability to come up and support the run. And Roquan is in similar fashion. I mean, I look at what he's done this season. First of all, he's the Ravens' highest rated defensive player on the year. Comes in at 84.7 rating according to PFF. But when you look at the NFL leaders, he led the league for much of the year in tackles, ends up 3rd overall. But when you look at him against the contemporaries up in that upper echelon of tackle makers in this league, they don't necessarily, fill up the stat sheet in the other categories, which is, I think, what makes Roquan so special. This guy is much more than just a tackling machine. I mean, he might be one of, if not the best blitzer on the Ravens roster right now. This guy is fantastic at blitzing the quarterback up the middle. And also, he's incredible in coverage. He's got 3 interceptions on the year. He's got 4.5 sacks. He's got 6 pass breakups. I mean, the guy just impacts the game in so many different ways. So for those that I hear that criticize, people or teams for paying linebackers, it certainly has to be the right guy. But I think if you ask, the 49ers, they're happy with what they've gotten from Fred Warner while they have the number one defense in the National Football League leading them into the playoffs, I think they'd be pretty satisfied. And I think the Ravens are getting a guy that's very similar in Roquan Smith.
100%. I can't disagree with you at all. I think DK has an improved graphic up here now. Let's see. Yeah. So just like we mentioned, he's now the highest paid in his position and in NFL history, as Glenn talked about. 45 million guaranteed and 60 million in total guarantees. The first linebacker to get 20 million per, which is something that he wanted to do for the position. And he talked about in Chicago, the Chicago Bears were unwilling to give him a deal similar to this. So I think part of the reason why this deal gets done, of course, is because I think the Ravens knew what the price was at, once they made that trade. They knew what the price was going to be, and they gave us some time to decide whether or not it was worth the price. And he forced their hand, right? And now this feels like an absolute steal. And good on him, good on the team. I think that this is awesome. I'm really excited about it. And one of the things that's important to notice or important to identify is the fact that now one thing is clear. The franchise tag is, of course, can only be given to one player. One of those players could have been Roquan Smith, the other being, of course, Lamar Jackson. We know now that Roquan will not be one of those players. The other thing I just briefly want to mention as well, Glenn, is that this does not mean that the Ravens do not have the means by which to sign Lamar Jackson. That can still be done. The salary cap is a myth anyway. No, I'm totally kidding. But the salary cap can certainly be manipulated. Things can get worked out. And in fact, if you think about it, Glenn, it's funny that people would say that, because I believe that if Lamar Jackson signed a deal, his salary cap would be less than the $45 million it's going to be next year on the franchise tag.
Yeah.
So if you're talking, just next year, it makes more sense that they get the deal done, even with Roquan's deal done. So just wanted to make those couple things clear. But really, we're super excited for Roquan, man, for this defense moving forward. Let's see. If I'm not mistaken, we have Marlon signed through 26, Roquan signed through 27, Mark Andrews signed through 25. And then also, I think also until 25, I think is also Ronnie Stanley, something like that. So those are some guys, man. That's a core.
Yeah. So Roquan through 27, Marlon through 26, Ronnie Stanley and Mark Andrews through 2025. And let's not forget Justin Tucker through 2027. He's not going anywhere. And then the core of these rookies, I mean, specifically this class, when you look at Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, David Ajabo, and now the impact he's starting to make, I mean, they got a lot of guys on rookie deals that are still, pretty impactful players already. So it's an exciting time. I mean, I love that, the Raven. Think about how good this last couple days has been for Roquan Smith. The Ravens just put the cherry on top. A couple days ago, he has a monster game, 16 tackles, goes bonkers. Was it yesterday? Yesterday. Georgia absolutely embarrasses TCU in the national championship game. Of course, his alma mater. And now today he signs the richest contract a linebacker signed in NFL history. It's been a good few weeks. A few days rather for Roquan Smith. And as DK pointed out, he did so representing himself mid-season. And Marlon Humphrey tweeted, I thought an interesting tweet. He said, look, he did this. He said, nobody, much deserved. And he said he did this all while negotiating his own contract and leading our defense. So it's interesting that Marlon, who I think most would say is there a bigger, he's certainly one of, if not the biggest leader on the defensive side of the ball. And he's already said that this guy, Roquan, who's new, who's been here, 8 weeks? He's the one leading this defense. I think that's pretty telling as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just impressive to know that you got a lot of dogs on that defensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, and Roquan stepped right in, and obviously filled somewhat of a void that was there at the, because traditionally you feel like it's usually that position also serves as a point guard captain, if you will.
He's
right.
The green dot now for the next 5 years.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
That's done.
Right. And so, just like you said, speaks to his impact outside of just the fact that he's an absolute performer. But the way that he lifts up his team is really impressive as well. So really excited for Roquan at the end of the day. Let us know if you guys are as excited as we are. Cannot wait to see what he does as a part of this core moving forward. Super excited for him. Like I said, leave all your comments below. Let us know what your thoughts are, how happy you are with the deal, and the outlook of him being a Raven for the next 5 years. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yesterday does not matter. You're looking forward to today.
I'm looking forward to being a Raven.
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that.